Hello and welcome everyone to the Nature Playdays at our local libraries webinar. My name's Beth Yates. I am the Children's Consultant from the Indiana State Library's Professional Development Office, and I'll be your host and will help with some question moderation today. Our presenter is Carla Gull, State Coordinator of the Indiana Children and Nature Network, and we are thrilled to have her. A few announcements for you. First of all, to register for other webinars or other trainings available from the Professional Development Office, please see the Indiana State Library's events calendar, which can be found on our website at www.in.gov/library, and then it's under Services for Libraries. This session is 1 hour, so you're eligible to receive 1 LEU for this presentation. And if you're watching a recording of this webinar, instructions on how to obtain your LEU are in the video's description on YouTube. Or you can also find those instructions on the ISL's continuing education site under LEU policies. But in short, when you watch a recording, someone in administration at your library should create a certificate for you, as they're the ones who can verify that you watched. Okay, I think we're ready to get started. Again, our presenter today is Dr. Carla Gull of the Indiana Children and Nature Network. So please take it away, Dr. Gull.
Most definitely, and feel free to call me Carla. That's totally fine. So I am so excited to share with you all about the Nature Play Days initiative, which is part of Indiana Children and Nature Network. And hopefully what we're going to do is show you what you can do to host a Nature Play Day as part of your library system. We do have kind of a certain time frame that we are doing this statewide initiative. It's June 1st through 9th. Though it really, you can do a Nature Play Day at any time. And I think that it's a great addition to the wonderful programs that you were offering at your libraries and such. Just by way of introduction, I am the state coordinator of Indiana Children and Nature Network. I also am faculty and coordinator of the Masters of Arts in Environmental Education at Mary Lee Environmental Learning Center of Goshen College. My title is like way long, but my background is as an elementary teacher and then a college professor, and then have also been doing a lot with early childhood and academic research in regard to loose parts, risky play, tree climbing. I'm in the middle of a fire research study right now as well. And also an author. You can see first book here, Loose Parts Learning K-3 Classrooms. There's a lot of applications to libraries here, and I'm working with our local libraries, implementing some of these strategies and such there. But do have a large Facebook group called Loose Parts Play, over 130,000 plus people from around the world talking about this concept of loose parts. And then also have another one around the learning aspect in early elementary. Have a new book coming out later this year about Loose Parts Alive, inspiring those child-led nature explorations. I have a podcast as well. So if you have like additional follow-up questions and things, or are just curious about things, I haven't done any with a specific library audience as in mind, but there are a lot of different episodes that may be helpful if you like, ooh, I want to learn more about this, or how can I do this? There are a lot of different episodes that may be helpful for that as well. So just some additional resources and such. As far as what we're going to do today, we're going to introduce Indiana Children and Nature Network. Could you put in the chat, have you ever heard of Indiana Children and Nature Network? Just a yes or no is fine. I'm kind of guessing no, but I don't know. So, and this is exactly why we're doing this and why I'm spending my time, so that we can let more people know about this organization and what's happening to, as part of this. So. And then we're also going to be looking at what are Nature Play Days, who might be able to host one, how you can organize and plan one, just registering, other considerations for one, some ideas of things you might be able to do, how you might work with partners and sponsors as part of it, promoting an event, and what to do after an event. And then we'll just have some hosting experiences and such, and some time for questions and answers. And as mentioned, you're welcome to put questions in the chat. I am kind of watching as they come in and such. And if I may, say, let's put a pin in that, and we'll get to it, but we'll be very open to entertaining questions and such. So Indiana Children in Nature Network, it's part of the Environmental Educators Association of Indiana. We really try to have state-specific resources. There is like a national Children in Nature Network. I don't know if you've heard of the book like Last Child in the Woods by Richard Louv, fantastic book. Balanced and Barefoot by Angela Hanscom, another great book with details and information about why getting outside is more important right now. But we're really trying to hone in on some of those state-specific resources and what's happening right here. As part of that, we have a few different initiatives. One of the larger ones that we do is just kind of organizing and hosting these nature play days. And to do that, we network and work with host sites like yourselves to make these happen. So Nature Play Days, they are June 1st through 9th this year. The dates vary a little bit year by year, but they're usually that early chunk of June as part of it. We also have another initiative, I Can Play 30, like taking a pledge to spend 30 minutes outside playing every day. Okay, so our mission, the whole reason we're here, we're really just trying to connect people to nature, the children, families, communities, organizations, et cetera, to the natural environment so they can get that full body benefits of it and build that lifelong nature to it. We do it in a variety of ways. We try to raise awareness, promote those unstructured play and time outdoors. As adults, we can benefit from that as well. And then also work with a very diverse network of people as we work toward that. Okay, so I just would like you to think a little bit on how your libraries are already connecting children to your local nature scene. I put up a list of some things that I have seen in my time as the state coordinator of Indiana Children in Nature Network and just my connections to the natural world, but I'd love to see what other things you are doing. Some things that I see is like a checkout bag of a family nature exploration kit, if you will, so you can check it out for a while. I know one of our local libraries has a library of things where you can check out like a telescope or something like that. Some libraries actually have an outdoor classroom or natural play area right there. Oh, community gardens, fantastic. Yes, I've totally forgot about that. I'll put that on my slide for next time. Some groups are just putting displays of books related to nature. I love going in there. Oh, yeah, the storybook walks, excellent. Some of them, and I've just been seeing that just yesterday on social media, some of our local libraries, just a checkout system for local parks and attraction passes, so that it makes it accessible for all families to go to some of those things that may cost money in our area. And then also I noticed that lots of libraries are bringing animals and nature programs to the library, which is, I think is fantastic. And I always tell my students that live animals trump anything that I can do. Yeah, anyways, live animals are very engaging. And then nature play days are another thing. So it's great to see these additional things that you all are doing too. Love story walks. I see that those are often connected with a local library. At our facility at Mary Lee Environmental Learning Center, we work with one of our local libraries to provide the story walk at our facility and such. It's been great to work on selecting books and such with that. I love children's books. That's one of my favorite things. And so that's fantastic. And a certified nature explore outdoor classroom. I love that, Lori. I actually do some consulting with Nature Explore and have implemented several outdoor classrooms with that as well. That's one of my favorite things. And I love having a base area for play, learning, and connection for programming or just for people to be part of that. Seed libraries are a fantastic thing with it. And I love this idea, Christine, of a nature nook where you can display these science specimens and additional materials. One of my students is actually working with our local library to put a native plant collection just outside several of the viewing windows, and then doing some programming and signage inside just to help connect from the outdoors to the indoors as part of that as well. So all kinds of different ways, unique ways to connect with nature in our libraries. So yeah, bird watching stations, that's fantastic. The books, the binoculars, all those things. I love it. Thanks for all these great ideas. So what are nature play days in general? Okay, I don't know if you've ever heard of nature deficit disorder, but Richard Louv kind of coined this term. But just that children, and Angela Hanscom, I mentioned her as well. She noted that like children were like falling out of seats in their classrooms, but it was because they weren't spending enough time engaged in free active play in the outdoors, that they weren't having some of those skills to be able to regulate and function for a full day, a school day and such. But it's kind of to combat some of those effects of children being inside so much and on the electronics and things. We had great weather yesterday and kind of more as we get closer to spring. And so it's been great to see more people outside, but it's still very easy to have that pull to electronics. So we're just trying to provide additional opportunities to connect children, families, and communities with nature. It's also kind of like a jumpstart to that summer nature play. For most areas, school has just gotten out or is getting out soon, and let's go ahead and celebrate the start of summer vacation with some nature play. It's also another way to experience just the nature that we have nearby. For many people, they're discovering new places they've never been to as part of nature play. It also encourages the habit of just being outside regularly. And with this statewide promotional push or event, it really connects all of us and unites us in this similar mission in getting people outside. Okay, so who can host a nature play day? Some of the people that have done this in the past would be a park system, some of the schools, a church, a neighborhood, public libraries like yourselves, zoos, community organizations, and really anyone can host a nature play day anywhere. I often partner with some of our local organizations and such to make them accessible to everyone around us. And so that means you can host a nature play day. And I hope as we go through this, you start thinking about, oh, I could do this, I could do that. What possibilities you have unique to your circumstances. And like I mentioned, we will field questions and things of that as well, and want to help think about some of those challenges you may have and how you can overcome those as well. So as far as organizing a nature play day, it really can be as structured as you like or as freeform as you like, specific to meet your needs. I find that some participants are a little bit reluctant at first. They're not quite sure what to do. So having a few structured activities or guided activities, even if it's a scavenger hunt or something like that, can help them have something to do as they enter and get warmed up to the idea of having more free play. But that free play also allows that creativity, that imagination, all that exploration, so that children can kind of do that deep dive in connection to nature as part of it. I find that it's great to collaborate with other people, with other partners and sponsors. We'll have a whole section on this in a little bit. And I would also consider, who is it in our community that is not benefiting as much from this? Who does not understand or know about this message? And how can we track those segments? And what is something unique to culture and community that would be attractive to a wider range of people? I also would consider transportation needs. I don't know if that's something that you've ever done as libraries, but are there economically disadvantaged groups, and or bringing nature play to people that may not be able to get out to libraries or other locations for it. We do try to make these free and open to all. You can have a pre-registration if you would like. It is not required, but you get to choose if it's pre-registered or not. And then as part of this, you can also share how families can continue this experience at home with other groups or for future events. So there's a lot of different ways. It can be kind of like an information hub where you're sharing additional information about what's going on in your local area. Okay. So one of the first things that I like to think about is just like, what's your date and location for a nature play day? I know that many of you already are in the middle of, if not having planned, your summer programming. I've been working with our local libraries and like, oh, we've got all this planned out. But as I was working with the Goshen Public Library just this last week, we recognized some opportunities of things that they were already doing that could classify as a nature play day, or something where we could easily tag something else on to make it a nature play day. For example, sorry about that, they are giving out free books at our, let's see, at the free lunches at one of the public parks. And so on that day, when they're giving out these free books, we're just going to go ahead and have a nature play day set up at the park, and also encourage that nature play while they eat their lunches, get their books, and maybe spend a little bit of time after as part of that. We will be advertising through the other programs that are happening on their website and other things of the sort. So it could be something that is already happening. You already have a partnership or an arrangement, and it's just adding in some additional activities and such. I would suggest that most any type of nature play can happen in any location, even on concrete. You know, sometimes I just go and put cones up around the parking lot area just to block off a space that, hey, this is where children are playing. We need to be extra careful. And then we have supervision just to watch for additional safety measures with that. And even in urban spaces, you can do nature scavenger hunts. And we also can use different tubs and such to allow for dirt and water exploration if that's something that you would like to do. I'll show a setup of a quick and easy kind of mud kitchen that's portable that we use sometimes. I set it up on Main Street in our town all the time. If you haven't heard of this concept of loose parts, if you can actually just put in the notes here, the chat, have you heard of loose parts before? Basically, it is, you know how kids play with rocks and sticks and cardboard boxes and transform them into all kinds of other things? That's kind of the basic of, or basis of loose parts. And there's lots of different applications. I do a lot with it, but it has so many different applications, especially in the natural world. But it could be like den making and art projects, and you'll see some different examples. On this picture, this girl just has a little bit of clay and has found natural materials and is building on the side of the tree here. So it doesn't take a whole lot of supplies or materials. You can find what's there. And the prompt was just to build with clay, and it's really cool. Yes, those weird concoctions. I was the queen of potion making, Karen. I was there. So yes. And I think that children today still need that. However, we've kind of moved away from that. And can we still give them those things? And even maybe put it in context of a library program, you know, or nature play day. So as part of putting them in this June 1st through 9th, we really try to concentrate them during that time to help with promotion and start that push to get outside in the summer. Okay, so this is a question. Where might you host a nature play day? What does your library afford? I would encourage you to go ahead and use the chat. What opportunities do you have? Do you have an open lawn grass where you can do that? Someone mentioned a garden. Another person mentioned, let's see, an outdoor classroom. Those are great places to do it. I see some people literally do it between the sidewalk and the building. It could be partnering with a local park and then hosting it there. That's what we're going to do from some of ours. But I see some different things. Nature is the best classroom. We use our garden. Park across the street. That's really convenient, isn't it? An open lawn. Also use the local park, a nearby park, a community garden space, a big lawn area, a walking trail area. I love that. And why couldn't nature play day be along the trail? That's actually a really good idea that I need to think about a little bit more. So I encourage you to just kind of start imagining, if we have a nature play day, where might we host it? What's a space that gives some affordances? But as you can see in this picture, this is literally lawn with, I think there's a sidewalk and a road on the other side, and we just, you know, watch the perimeters, and parking lot on the other side. So it's not, it doesn't have to be super natureified to be an effective space to connect to the outdoors as well. And as you can see here, this is just a bunch of different types of loose parts, some poles and some things to connect with and some fabric and different things of that sort so that they can build and construct on their own. Nearby parks, open lawns, community garden spaces, walking trails, all kinds of different things. So if you choose to do a nature play day, which I hope you will do, on our website, and Beth, if you don't mind pasting that link in again into the chat so that's there for people again, that would be fantastic. But on the Indiana Children Nature Network, we've got several different things, but this right here in the middle, the Nature Play Days, there are several different things underneath it. There are resources. There's a sign up to to register a nature play day. And there's also signups to find where they are across the state. So we use a map-based system, and then we go ahead and enter information, then people can click on a link to go to your site to find more information about it. But basically all you're doing is putting your information in, your email, what's the organization that's hosting it, and where's a website that people can go to. Just some basic information. It's very easy just to fill out. And then after that, it will take a few days, probably a week, because I do it all manually by hand, but I guess electronically. But I do take that information and enter it into our map so that other people can see that as well. So that's just kind of your next step with it. As you plan and consider a nature play day, I would think of weather possibilities, usually in early summer. I guess it's the end of spring really at this time. We could have a variety of things. I know that we've had rain on some of ours, and having some kind of covered structure or an alternative plan if it's inclement weather. Some rain isn't necessarily bad, but if there's thundering and lightning, then that's something where we'd move inside or in covered areas. I would think about the drainage of the site. You don't want it all muddy necessarily, though International Mud Day, June 29th, is a great day to celebrate as well. I like having bathrooms. Having access to water or knowing where water is another fantastic thing. I also will just use big jugs for water play things. And then when the water is gone, it's gone. You'll see a little setup of that later on. But just being able to wash hands and use restrooms and such is helpful. Think about parking. Is there enough parking for people to get there? And just logistics. Is it accessible for people? Is it easy for you to come if you're going someplace else, or to wheel your carts out to? And is it accessible for our patrons that are going to be there with us as well? I also like to always have a first aid kit, just because I don't know what might happen. I have never used my first aid kit in over 11 years of doing things with nature play, but I always have my first aid kit with me just in case. I find that having additional volunteers is helpful. Have you heard of the Indiana Master Naturalist program? You can put yes or no in the chat. Indiana Master Naturalists. They are specially trained to learn and understand about the natural area, and they are specifically looking for volunteer opportunities. And so Indiana Master Naturalists can be a great asset to find them locally to be additional helps or volunteers, and or they may help head up something like this. That's how I started doing things. I was an Indiana Master Naturalist volunteer, and I partnered with a local nature center to start doing some nature play days as part of that. But just volunteers in general, they can help children get comfortable and settled in as they arrive. Even you'll have families coming in like, well, we're here, but we're not quite sure what we're supposed to be doing. But just having someone to greet them warmly and share something that they might do to get started can be wonderful. I would encourage you to think about just doing a little bit of training about the importance of nature play and how to communicate that information with parents. I don't know about you all, but sometimes I have found that parents kind of like to take over the child's like craft project or play that they're doing, instead of just letting the child play themselves. And so anything that we can do to encourage the parents to be a guide on the side or play on their own, like parallel to the children, can be very beneficial and helpful as part of that. So just a little bit of training just to understand what nature play is or isn't, and how to let the child take the lead can be very important. If you would like some additional information around that, you feel free to reach out and I can share some additional resources with that. Okay. Actually, with these considerations, what are you most worried about? Are there any challenges or considerations that you're like stuck on, that you're not sure how you can do something, or worries that you have? Feel free to use the chat to put those in. If you've got a concern or challenge or worried about something that may happen as part of a nature play day. I'm trying to give some good wait time here, and you might not have a whole lot of challenges right now. You're still learning and understanding what this may be. If they come up, feel free to go ahead and put them in the chat. Parents, yes. Yes, I see that as well. One thing, Susan, that I do with that sometimes about the fears about getting dirty is just making sure that I advertise it as what it is. This may be a place where a child may get dirty, so that we're attracting people, but then also giving opportunities where the child doesn't necessarily have to get dirty. And it's not even just the parents that don't always want to get dirty, but yes, dress for the mess. I love it. But it's also, let's see, some children have different sensory cups. There's an organization called Tinkergarten that has all kinds of fantastic ideas and blog posts that are wonderful about this topic, but they talk about sensory cups. And some children love to slather mud all over their bodies, and others don't even want to touch it with their finger. So having different options of entering the play through a stick to stir or interact with mud instead of having to touch it with your hands at first, to more full body sensory options can be very helpful. So yeah, I love that. Try not to get overwhelmed with summer reading kickoffs, but this sounds fantastic. I hope you'll try it. And it could just be part of something that you already have scheduled and that you're doing. Yes, and it's totally fine. I like to do those messy activities, Shauna Lee, outside. It helps with my sanity and less mess inside. And sometimes I will sign, if that's not my comfort level, I will sign a volunteer to be more in charge of that activity, so that it's not something that I have to deal with if it's not something that I am as comfortable with. So yeah, thanks for sharing some of these concerns and things, and we can keep chatting through these as we go through. As far as activity ideas, there are so many things that you can do. It's just kind of what would you like to do and what's available to you. What are some of the affordances at the site that you do it? And what affordances can you provide? How can you just bring in some additional nature to have a well-rounded opportunity with it? I find especially in early June, water play is always going to be a hit. And I see a lot of like organized, like sponge relay games and things like that. But could we make it a little bit more open-ended so that children can enter and leave that activity as they desire? Like we mentioned earlier, dress for mess, sometimes just getting dirty. And it may be bringing in a big plastic tub and filling it up with potting soil for children to dig through and things. I like to get worms sometimes and have those available too. There's a great book out that came out in the last couple of years, a book to read with a worm. I don't know if you've seen that one, but that's a great side-by-side companion with worms. Mud play, this loose parts concept, there's lots of different applications with that. Just nature, art, and reflection. So if you think of artists like Andy Goldsworthy, he does ephemeral art or land-based art where he's using leaves and thorns to put things together, or icicles. I find that children find great inspiration in what he does, but then also usually end up with a tree and sticks at the base in a pyramid around it. I've seen that across the world, basically. But yeah, so just some nature art and opportunities to do different things with it. One time I just had a basket of dried flowers and petals and things like that. I have gotten those any extras around like Mother's Day. And one time someone asked, like, where did you get all these great things? And it was literally like the flowers from my grandfather's funeral that I just let dry in a basket. And I didn't do anything else beyond that. So it can be lots of different ways to do it. Yes, Andy Goldsworthy. And I do have like blog posts and things just on nature art. Patrick Dougherty does a lot of stick work. I worked on a project up in Niles, Michigan. He makes these huge sculptures with sticks and weaving them all together. And like they're almost like buildings that you can go inside of and such. They're fantastic. But there are many other artists. And if that's something, feel free to send me an email or something afterwards to get additional information about that as well. Guided hikes, you can work with your local naturalist to maybe lead a guided hike, or Indiana master naturalist as well. Those live animal demonstrations, I know that I work with a local rehabilitator in our area, and he is always willing to bring animals to show and use as educational materials with us. Even just like fairy houses and gnome building, I find that children love doing that. And while I like the cute stuff aesthetically, I find that children really just like making their own stuff with like the sticks and the leaves and those natural materials that are there. So I kind of do a mix of both, where it's like free play, they can do it on their own, and or I may have some materials that we've created beforehand or we create together that can be used for building as well. And then also story time. Yeah, master gardeners, that would be a great thing. And they can even maybe take home a container, a potted plant with some as well. And Tinkergarten, the faces on the trees, that's probably where I got the idea. That Tinkergarten organization is the one that has the information about like sensory cups and working with parents through some of those fears and stuff. They're a great organization to have all kinds of do-it-yourself activities on their website. Okay, these are some activities from Hussey Mayfield Memorial Public Library, I think, the one in Zionsville. I used to live in Zionsville and went to this library all the time. They work closely with Zionsville Parks, and they have a whole smorgasbord of nature play days, and they have a whole like program and list of all the many different activities. They are so connected. The Nature Center used to be next door to the library, like across the street, and there was a school there, and then there are some little hiking trails back there. Used to take my kids there all the time, but that building was closed down for the Nature Center, and so the Nature Center has actually been housed inside the library for quite some time. And so that's a way that let's see, that nature and libraries have really come together. They're really working together. And these are just some ideas of the things that they have done. So as you can see here, the cars are right there. They just do story time on the grass. Instead of doing it inside, can we bring it outside? They may provide blankets, or you can put it in your messaging to the families that are coming, bring a blanket to sit on. And as you can see, they've got some trees, but there's also all kinds of other stuff there as well. I love the lunch on the lawn. And Crystal, we can talk about some Indiana Master Naturalists and rehab people partnerships. The Department of Natural Resources does have a list of local rehabbers and then Master Naturalists. I would reach out to like a local nature center or something like that. And like, do you have a local group of master naturalists that you can share this with? I know in Elkhart County, where I am, we have an alumni group, and Fort Wayne has an alumni group. I think Kosciuszko County has an alumni group where we are active and actively seeking out opportunities for volunteer. So those can be great resources with it. They did a jump to Jupiter. So they started at the library, they walked over to some other trails and went to a nature sanctuary as part of that. And this just encouraged people to dress for the weather. Purdue Extension, yeah, great resource with that as well. They did a car wash. I mean, how many people love getting their cars out, their special Matchbox cars and such, and getting them dirty in different ways, and then having a place to wash them afterwards, and then bringing in those book resources as part of that. So I thought that's a really cute one. I think they do like a teddy bear picnic every year too. A dino egg hunt. They actually dressed up as dinosaurs for it, and then they went and looked for dinosaur eggs in different places. So all kinds of ideas. Beth, thanks for sharing these STEM activities and other resources with that. So many different ways to do it. As far as partners or sponsors, and this can be a way to find some of those additional people to work with. I find that working with other people just helps us expand our reach and fill in gaps of resources that we may not have and bring additional diversity to what we're doing. So there can be all kinds of different organizations with different missions that are not necessarily nature related, but that can also benefit from promoting outdoor play. So think about and identify who you have in your area that may be a good partner or a sponsor. I'm finding that more and more local hospitals are having some funds for wellness, and outdoor play is a great connection for wellness. And they oftentimes will have sponsorships for like free giveaways and different resources and things like that. If you can find the right person to talk to at the local hospital in the wellness department, they often have things with that. Our federal and state agencies, National Park Services, et cetera, there are so many resources on these websites. State parks, Fish and Wildlife, think of youth organizations, Boy Scouts of America. Oh, actually, it's just BSA now. Girl Scouts, Boys and Girls Club, even 4-H. Like I'm working with our local 4-H group to host a nature play day. And so the children in 4-H, the teenagers and such, they'll be helping be our volunteers and run the stations, help with setup and cleanup, and they're choosing the activities that are going to be there as well. So there's all kinds of different options with it. Oh yeah, and Paula mentioned that as well. Okay. Oh, thank you. The jump to Jupiter came from that clearinghouse. Fantastic. And I think that partners and sponsors also opens up those volunteers. It gives additional publicity. Hey, we're doing this event. It can increase impact for both organizations, helps with advertising. Sometimes it gives us some giveaways and other support that we can do with that. Can you just write in the chat some of the 4-H, I mean, not the 4-H groups, but any partners or sponsors that you may already work with or may want to reach out to as far as doing a nature play day? Yeah, the recycling district, they'll come in and do educational programs. That's great. Yeah. Soil and Water Conservation District, the local park department. Yeah, these are fantastic. And I don't know each and every one of your locations, but just continue to work on who are the people that we could most impact. I know that some of our libraries are starting to do more preschool story times at the actual preschool. So it could even be with a school or preschool or something of that sort. Local sorority, a Rotary, Lions clubs, those are fantastic ideas, Paula. The Red Tail Land Conservancy, yeah, there are several different like Acres Land Trust and some of those that are great for that. Nonprofits that advocate for beautification, like I know Indianapolis in particular has some special ones as well with that. It could even be like a museum that we have in our area as well. So there's just a wide variety of things. And I believe even like the Indiana State History Museum, that they have a nature play day oftentimes at their location, just there in that little strip of grass between the museum and the canal that's right behind it, or the river. And I've seen geese and fish and things there. There's nature everywhere. Keep Indianapolis beautiful. That's exactly what I was thinking about. Yes, the State Museum. Yes. and lots of loose parts there too. So, okay. So I already asked that, but who might you partner with to host a nature play day? But this is just a simple and easy mud play setup that I do frequently. I have a couple of crates, and I put all of our garage sale and getting rid of from the kitchen kinds of materials that are a little bit more durable in them. I have a couple of water jugs that I have found at garage sales, or just they're no longer like in good use for my family. And so we'll fill them up and use them here. And I will often, if I'm at a place where I don't want children to dig in the actual dirt, I will fill up one of these pots or a tub with some soil, whether it's potting soil or just some soil I dig up someplace else, and I'll bring that in for some mud play as well. So this is a quick and easy way to set things up. And then I just have a plank. I think I got it at Restore for like $2. And I also love the simplicity of this. This is something that any family can do in their backyard. So it shows them examples of what they can do right there. Okay. As you start thinking about working with a potential partner, I would encourage you to think about what resources are available. If you're trying to kind of give that case for, hey, this is why this is important, National Wildlife Resources has options for that. And then Children in Nature Network, they have a whole news center. I actually sign up for their monthly research and news digest so I can get updated information. This isn't the most updated. I need to find additional things, but if we're kind of just looking at things, you've seen this trend of childhood obesity growing. Children are spending more than 9 hours a day on a device and most of their time indoors. I've seen other statistics where children were spending like 7 minutes a day in free play outdoors, which is just like tiny amounts. And preschool kids are one of the fastest growing markets for antidepressants. These are kind of scary statistics. And we can help counteract this by having these nature play days and just encouraging getting outside to some degree. So we can try sometimes with pictures that gets to be really big files, but we'll figure out what we can do. And then just event promotion. I like to use social media for making an event. If you use like Facebook, you can add other hosts. And so you can actually make Indiana Children in Nature Network a co-host of your event. That doesn't mean we're going to be there, but we can help publicize it and let people know about it. After you've registered and put your information in, when you go into social media, you can also tag us in your promotions and or make us a host with that. That local promotion of how you're sharing it is up to you, but whatever you're using for social media is a good way to do it. You can have your flyers at the library, ask your friends and organizations that you're partnering with to share them. Some people put flyers up at the doctor offices, at your locations, at the libraries, the local stores, etc. Keep it in newsletters on your websites. If you have a sign up, that may be a good way to do it. And I've had good success with press releases as well. In our local area, I tried to reach out, oh, who else doing a nature play day today? Put them all in one list and do one kind of press release for our concentrated efforts of nature play days in the area, and have been on lots of different news channels and things just sharing about what nature play days are. So those can go out to the local news, the radio, TV stations, or calendars on the internets and such, schools, Scouts, 4-H, all those different organizations. And as you share about the nature play days, you can also share about Indiana Children Nature Network and just what that mission and purpose and different things are. So we do have some materials available for you that you can download and just print off. We do have some decals and things like that available and stickers. And so all of these printables that you see here are easily downloadable from our website, just that similar link to what you just saw. So those can be one easy way just to share about what that mission and purpose of Indiana Children in Nature Network is, but just that getting outside. We also have these printables with the I Can Nature Play Day. We do have a hashtag that we use and such, which is very helpful with that as well. Oh, and so this is where you can find it, the Nature Play Days, and then underneath that tab there in the middle, there's a Nature Play Day host resources. So if you go down below here, there's a whole kind of spread of different resources that you can have as part of that. We would love it as you do these if you share the fun. Photos can be a great resource for that. Encourage participants to document with photos they can share on social media. And it's just a good reminder of what's happening and to get inspiration to get outside again soon. And it normalizes that nature play. Hey, this is stuff that children do all the time. And we have that hashtag I Can Nature Play Days that you can do. You can invite local media to your event as well. And I found, I've even found like for the photos, I've had a couple of people, one was just like getting into photography and she was like, hey, can I come document your things? And then we just shared, you know, photos by so-and-so. She didn't charge us for it, but she took great pictures as part of documenting the process. And I've also had other people when I'm hosting, hey, would you like me to come and just be a photographer for you? And I found that that's very helpful just to have additional people helping with those things. If you are doing those photo releases, you may already have a process in place for photo releases or just notifying through, hey, if you're in this space, you may have your picture taken as part of the event or something of the sort. Okay, so after the event, how can you share your success? And this was one of those pictures by the Braun Photography, the local photographer that just volunteered. Hey, I see you're doing this nature play event. Can I come take pictures for you? And I love that she caught this action. And so this is one of the things that I like to have in my repertoire of stuff. And it's just a bunch of collected larger loose parts or materials that can be used in lots of different ways. And the children can create their own obstacle courses and then they go and create them. I might strew it or get it set up enough so they feel comfortable going ahead and starting with the play, but I let them move it around and change it up however they would like to. And I find that they often will start getting like their timers out and challenging each other. Some of them will even put like a mud section as part of the obstacle course as well. Yeah, lots of different options. You can see that this child was also in mud and water at some point during this because there's a whole mix of lots of different opportunities with it. So after the event, we encourage you to share your success. I encourage you to, if you have a media list or a website or something like that, you might do like a blog entry or something of that sort, or just in your newsletter, hey, we had this nature play and here are some ways that you can be connected to nature as well. Share those photos and details and ways to continue the nature play. If you are working with other partners with it, you can share little snippets for them to share and include in their communication as well. We will have like a host survey as well with your email. We will send that after the nature play days, and just giving us feedback is very helpful. And like I mentioned before, while we have this June 1st through 9th as our official nature play days, you don't only have to do nature play days during that. You can tag us at any time during the year on social media and host a nature play day at any time. I try to do one at least quarterly. I find that nature play days are just a great way to interact with the community and bring us all back to nature. And I love literacy and books and things that are happening in libraries as part of that. It could be a way to promote some of those, like if you have park passes and attraction passes, another way, hey, and we've got these things that you can check out right now and go get out in nature later this week. If you do have questions or concerns or anything like that, we do have help available. Indiana Children in Nature Network, or ICANN, we are committed to helping you create a successful event. We have lots of different members with decades of experience in event planning, working with kids, education. We're here to help if you need activity ideas, If we can help supply some resources or connect you with people that may have some and or guidance on enlisting volunteers or sponsors, you can see our email down there, npd@indianachildrennature.org. That's a website that you can do as well. So all kinds of things. So I have a question for you. I find that oftentimes I like to bring books as part of my offerings. I have all kinds of different books around nature and loose parts on my website. These are some of my favorites that are here in the picture. Do you have any favorite read aloud books about nature or nature play, any of those kinds of things that you wouldn't mind putting in the chat? I see Paul is saying, as adults, we need this nature play. I completely agree. I've got some resources for adults too, for like hiking groups and things like that, if you're interested too. But why can't we have a nature play day for us? Yeah, I like to do it too. Adventure Begins, perfect theme for outdoor activities, completely. That was one of our connections that we were seeing with this. I see people thinking about we might revamp our whole summer story time around this. I love it. Add this to summer story times. And I find that it's easy to integrate into what you already have going on. It doesn't have to be a whole lot of other things. So a butterfly garden. Oh, wonderful. We're going on a bear hunt. We're going on a nature hunt book as well, which is great. Oh, Anywhere Artist is one of my favorites, and it's a great loose parts, ephemeral art. And I find that I don't have to bring any materials with me because we just go outside and read it and use whatever is right there. So I have whole lists of stick books as well. Winter Bees, that's a wonderful one with all of those different poems that are part of it. Yeah, Leaf Man is one of mine. I don't know that Don't Touch That Flower. We'll have to check that one out. Sand, the Denise Fleming book, she has all kinds of great ones. The Wind Blew. Yeah, so one thing that I do in my professional life is just do book and resource reviews for the International Journal of Early Childhood Environmental Education. And so on the Natural Start Alliance website, the Natural Start Alliance is for nature preschools. And that nature preschools are growing exponentially in the United States. So we even have a map of some nature preschool, early childhood based kinds of nature education in this state on the ICANN website. But so I put together lists of book reviews. So the last one was on Indigenous perspectives in children's literature. There's one recently that came out that is, oh, I can totally see the picture on the front page of it. But it's that Planting a Rainbow is good. I'll have to find it. Oh, How to Find a Fox. That's a really good one too. But anyways, I have lists of loose parts on these book reviews, on like sticks and stick play, animal architects. That could be a great theme as well. Worms and worms, glorious worms. So I have all kinds of different book reviews on that Natural Start Alliance website in their International Journal of Early Childhood Environmental Education, because it's way too long. And then have you heard of the Blueberry Awards? There are actually several. Wonder Walkers is one that I was thinking about too. The Blueberry Awards is coming out of Evanston Public Library in Illinois, and they have started doing these Blueberry Awards, which are based on the newest nature books that are coming in, nature environmental education kinds of books. And I know that there's a webinar through Natural Start Alliance, I think this Friday, on the Blueberry Award winners for 2023, and then also with early childhood investigations later in the month or early April. With that organization as well. So if you're looking for new good nature books and haven't quite seen them yet, both of these are good resources for that. So I'm seeing all kinds of great book suggestions. I find that I use these all the time. A quick and easy way, like any kind of these let's make faces kinds of books, and then we just use nature or additional loose parts that I bring in and such as part of that. So I would like you to think about it. You've had some suggestions and ideas. I know that you already have some events scheduled. Is there a plan that you can put in place for a nature play day? What could you do for in your space and what's happening there? How could you do the next thing? Thank you for sharing that link, Susan. For the, oh yeah, that's one of the more diverse representations. And so there's lots of different lists that I've put together kind of like that. Okay, I don't expect you to have it completely thought out, but just if you could put in the chat, what's something that you could do for a nature play day? Do you already have something scheduled? What could be happening with this? We can get some links. Yes, Angela. And splash days with water tables. Yeah, that's a perfect, you're already doing it and it's easy to turn it into something as well. Pajama story time. Oh, could you do it even outside maybe? And catching fireflies. Yeah. A library has their own splash pad, fun. And I find an easy addition to splash pads is just having some water containers. I see parents like bringing like clean, recycled yogurt containers or any of those like little stainless steel buckets or any of those kinds of things make a huge difference to be able to collect the water, transport it, dump it. A water day, that sounds like a perfect thing. Weekly story time with county parks. Those are easy things to just turn into a nature play day. You're already doing it and it's just registering it on the site. Outdoor story times every week during the summer. That's fantastic, Megan. And if you can have some time for some nature play, you might have gotten some ideas here. You might have some other ones as well. Go Wild Outside programs every Monday in June, July. I love it. An outdoor art camp. That's fantastic. Yes, squeeze bottles are fantastic with water. I also will use those spray bottles as well. And I just encourage children to get permission about spraying them on other people. That comes up sometimes. So mud madness. Oh, and there's so many, like I've got lots of podcast episodes about hosting like International Mud Day or just mud in general. Yeah. And we try to have a cleanup station to hose people off beforehand before they head home. You've got some space for it and you've done some outdoor game nights, but a mud play kitchen afternoon, that sounds perfect. Bubbles outside, and there are a lot of animals that use bubbles too. And so good ways to connect with nature. The foam parties, I've seen those machines that do all those kinds of things. Oh, a native plant meadow, that's fantastic. Summer reading outside and yard games. Yeah, add something with mud. Yeah, go ahead.
Carla, I just wanted to remind folks or reiterate that if they're already planning this stuff, they can still go in and sign their library up, right? And list the date. So
Yes.
I've reposted that link one more time. We are at the top of the hour, so I'm actually going to stop the recording. Okay. So thanks to anyone watching this as a recording.